Coercive. Austin Petersen, welcome.
Hi.
Oh, thanks. So I'm just going to take a guess here, Austin, and I'm going to guess that you were among those people in the question about government heavily regulating corporations.
Yes.
That you were against.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that the government should be regulated, not the people.
Oh, that's a cool distinction.
Yes.
Well, how would the government be regulated? What do you mean?
Well, the size and the scope of the federal government, for example. I believe that, like, for example, markets regulate themselves. Like, if you take, for example, like the big... They do. For example,
okay,
let's
see
take,
what you're going to say, and then I have a follow-up.
Sure. Like the meat industry, like Upton Sinclair, everyone remembers like the terrible meat conditions. The government only acted after the free market acted. People stopped buying the meats from the factories where the animals were, being harmed and where it was bad. People naturally went away from that. The government stepped in because they wanted to show the people that they were, that they were going to do something about it. They were going to step in and put these regulations in. But people realized, but they only did it after the fact. So regulation itself can't do what the free market does naturally.
I have to say, because for me, I come from, such a different background. I come from, well, not just, I was going to say, I was raised by communists, right?
Right.
That seems somewhat different from libertarian.
No, not so much, actually. Democrats and libertarians, we share 50% of our issues, especially we're civil libertarians, and we believe
absolutely.
We believe in a lot of the same things. I brought a copy of the Bill of Rights as adopted in 1791. Bill of Rights is adopted. It's blocked out. That is not a Republican style of government as envisioned by our founding fathers, and there's much that we can agree on. I believe. I just think there's different avenues that we get to the same ways.
I'm really curious. I've never spoken to a libertarian before, and I'm curious. Do you come from a libertarian family?
No, not at all. I come from a Republican family, but we differ on views of civil liberties and things like drug usage and homosexual issues and things like that. It was sort of there was some racist tinges in my family. I come from the South, and those things I didn't inherit. I took the good policies and I left the crap behind.
Was there a moment when you read Ayn Rand or something? Was there something that...
Yes, actually, it was very heavily influenced by Ayn Rand, and my brother is a homosexual, and I was raised in a...
Is he older or younger?
He's older, okay. and I was raised in a Christian household, and when my brother came out to me, all of my, bigoted, anti-homosexual views were kind of thrown into question because I loved my brother so much.
Did you realize you really looked up to him?
Yes, and I loved it, and I loved what he did, and I thought to myself, well, there's no way that this wonderful man is going to go to hell. And once I started to question that major belief, then I had to question all my major beliefs.
How old were you?
16.
16. Wow, what an age
yeah.
to be questioning. Yeah. To be questioning everything. Good for you. I'm going to ask because when you said, and it's just something that jumped into my mind. You were talking about that the market regulates itself. And,
sure.
That's something that to me seems like, it seems like it. It's an article of faith, but I know that you base your libertarianism on connecting what you observe with what you believe.
Right.
And in adjusting what you believe to what you observe. And so I'm wondering when you observe like the meltdown of the financial markets.
Right. Oh, right.
I just imagine this would be something like people say, hey, libertarian guy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm so excited that we brought this up. Absolutely. The problem that we have in these credit markets is not a result of free market capitalism. It's not that at all. The problem that we have, well, first of all, we had the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac situation, but that was a government-sponsored enterprise. And, obviously I believe in regulation of government, and there were a lot of people who fought against regulating Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I believe that if you're going to have a government entity, it should be either government or it should be private. So you shouldn't mix the two. Now, when you have a meltdown, this is not the result of a free market, just laissez-faire capitalism. The problem begins with where did the credit come from? Where did the money come from to give all these bad loans? Because it's the housing crisis, right? Well, the money comes from somewhere. Where does the money get created? The money is printed at a place that we call the Federal Reserve. Now, this is the only area that I actually think should be nationalized because the Federal Reserve is neither federal and it has no reserves. It's actually a private banking organization, and it serves the needs of private banks. And this banking cartel actually gets together and sets interest rates, and it is sanctioned by the government, but it's not an actual government organization. Now, they create credit out of thin air. And then the government decides, well, we'd like to give tax breaks and encourage investment in the housing sector. So we pass the Community Reinvestment Act, and we encourage it. And the investors all come in, and they speculate, and they think, oh, well, let's go ahead and start investing in this area because we know it's going to go up and up and up and up and up and up because there's all these tax breaks. But the beginning, the government said, let's encourage investment in this sector, and let's create credit out of thin air to give to people who maybe shouldn't be buying these homes that are way overinflated in price anyway. And then what happens is the market automatically corrects. The home prices go down because number one, we don't need any more homes. There's been too many homes that have been built. But in the beginning, the problem began with the creation of credit. Now, the creation of credit was originally put in the Constitution to be given to the people. Congress was supposed to coin money and regulate the value thereof, but the Federal Reserve has taken over that and has started to print money out of thin air. Too much credit is what we have, too many people and too much debt in this country. The power to coin money should be given back to Congress and thus the people.
I have to admit, I mean, that sounded really cogent.
Mm-hmm.
I am simply not able to. I wasn't able to completely follow it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the tape.
Sure.
And then I'm going to go back through it, and I'm going to annotate. Maybe I'll write to you. I'll email you or something like that.
I'll put it very simply. We have too much debt. There's too much national debt. There's too much personal debt.
Yeah.
Where does the debt come from? It's created somewhere. We used to have a gold standard where our money was actually worth something. It was honest money. For example,
so that every dollar was
actually
it was related to a particular piece of gold.
Exactly, it was honest, so that you knew that you could get something for it. Now it's all debt, and the entire nation is saddled with debt. Everyone has debt. They go to we have predatory lending where there's they go to college campuses and they give out credit cards and they get these kids saddled up with debt. Well, where's the money created? It's created as paper. It's created as electronic transactions on a computer, and that's not honest money. Honest money is money that people know has a backing.
So libertarians would be for the reestablishment of the gold standard?
Some are. I mean, I would prefer, at the least, opening up the Federal Reserve System because it's very closed, it's private, we can't get in, we don't know how much money they're printing. I would certainly support commodity-backed currencies where it would be redeemable in value for whatever you want. Gold, silver, a bank could issue currency, private people could have their own currencies. I'm for a free libertarian everything. Whatever money, if you want to trade, for example, in euros, you should be able to trade in euros. Get on your computer and buy something in euros or be paid in euros, and that encourages
how many
competition.
euros you can get for like $100 now? We were in Europe last year.
Yeah.
A euro.
Euro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but what you do is you introduce competition into our currency system so that even the government and the banks are being competed against. So the Federal Reserve can't just print all these dollars. They know if the value of their dollar goes down, the people will start to use something else, and that will keep prices
I'm going to
low.
get in way over my head here, but it's too late. And that is, my understanding is like in the South, for example, there were during, let's say, the Civil War,
yes.
during that period, that they had their own currencies, and people that there were state by state had their own currencies,
right.
and it was a disaster.
Absolutely, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a wonderful point.
I feel like I'm pretty much on target.
Yeah,
with my
you
questions.
are.
Yeah.
You are. At that point,
are you guiding me in a psychic libertarian way?
Well, I'm telling you that I was one of the people that said that I think that most people in this room actually do share my points of view. They just don't know. We just don't know how to get there yet. Yes, there were many different forms of currency post-Revolutionary War, and you could understand that lots of different currencies created chaos because, well, we weren't very sophisticated then, and we didn't have computers and technology and all these sophisticated ways to teach people how to use their money and things. So the central bankers got together and decided, well, let's just have one currency. And we'll put that all together, and that'll put stabilization in the markets. Well, now man is much more sophisticated. We have computers. We can trade, and we should be able to trade in whatever currency we want. We should be able to get online now and be able to have euros or francs or whatever we want, be paid in whatever currency we want.
So you think because we have computers that makes us sophisticated?
Well, not because of computers, but I think that now we have these tools that can teach us how to use different currencies, and we don't need to have a monopoly of currencies in this country. We should introduce competition against our government and the system.
Well, you're blowing my mind, Austin. I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to try to get back in before we open up to the audience as well. Well, that does bring us up roughly to the present. I'd like to open up for some questions from the audience. Be at liberty to ask
Sure.
questions. Yes.